And I think we are live, which is awesome. Let me just press some buttons here. I see audio. Where
Howdy,
in the
howdy.
heck my other button go? And that's that button right there. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Glad you're hanging out with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I've got noises coming out of my screens
You're
here.
a mess. Oh my
I am
goodness.
a mess,
You
but
are
you know
a
what?
mess.
You're here, and that's all that really matters. So thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it very, very much. Tonight we are doing mostly Q&A.
Some Q's, and we're doing some A's.
We'll do some questions and some answers, and guess what else?
What?
The what else is we're going to do 2 giveaways tonight.
Yeah.
That is what we're doing. So not one, but 2 separate giveaways, because I found some things. And then Joanna was like, well, what about this other thing? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So then she was like, do you want to do one to everybody, or like one to one, all this stuff to one person? Or do you want to do 2 separate giveaways?
One.
And I was like,
2, 1.
okay.
Said
Well, I
2.
think we're going to do 2 because
Dos.
that was what Joanna preferred. So later on, that's what we're going to do, if that's okay with you. So what do we got going on here? Land of videos, things that have happened over the last week. Last Sunday, yeah, I did a video, and that was the Hygger algae scraper review. That thing we've been using forever. And I finally got around to actually doing a review. I mean, we've probably had that thing in the fish room for 2-3 years.
Oh,
It's the extendable one that
Yeah.
Eli uses, comes with all those things. And normally I don't like the store-bought algae scrapers, because just like the ones that are made for aquariums, because they wind up bending.
They do.
They wind up scratching the glass, and they don't work after a while.
awful.
And this one just continues to work, and so that's really cool. But I am normally a razor blade with a razor blade holder type of guy, but this thing is at least giving us another option, and Eli likes to use it. So I noticed that once we got that, Eli was doing that, and then I don't scrape algae on tanks, so that's the thing we've been using. Pretty cool. So that was Sunday. Monday on the Tank Talk podcast, John and I, we had the Tank Talk podcast. We talked about what to do when your interest wanes in the hobby, right? When it kind of just
Ebbs and
cools
flows.
off, ebbs and flows. And many of you who've been in the hobby for a long time
Sure.
probably have seen that happen more than once. And there are things you can do to kind of reinvigorate the hobby. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, I would have my own ideas on that.
Leanne, no, this is not a members only live stream. That's why I could read your comment and I could respond to it. So welcome. Glad you're here. So that was Monday. And then yesterday on the Smallscape, your channel, what did you do?
I did I would say highly anticipated, really, but not necessarily. Very excited to get it done. My 20-gallon that's right over there, rescaped, because it had kind of become a plant holding tank.
Not kind of.
It now the fish were probably really happy because lots of places to swim around in. But I said, you know what, I'm going to fix this up, and I made some changes even to the inhabitants. The really stinky thing was, though, I was so excited. So I can take a long time deciding the music that sets the vibe. And do you know how long it took me to find that? I had a specific vision in my head for the intro, because it was certain clips in the beginning. And there is no first song for like the first minute, like 60 seconds or something. It's just not there. On our editing, it is. When you pull up the video, it's not. It's so weird and so dumb. So I'm going to somehow create a short into it or something, because you know what? I need to see that.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyways, there we go.
Today, Prime Timers, you got your video. And then on Sunday, we've got a species profile coming out. Fish we've had in the fish room for a very long time. Where we're going to be in the future? Well, not anywhere soon, because, again, swap season doesn't start, at least for us, until September. And so that will probably be the next time we are at any kind of fish-related event.
Yeah.
Cody, thank you so much for being a Prime Timer the last 3 months. Best medicine for Epi. I've used Bacter Shield, but it seems to come back. So Epi, I usually treat it the same way I treat ick, only without the temperature increases. So ick X, copper safe, that kind of thing usually works out okay. All right, let's see here. So as I mentioned, tonight it's all about you. You have questions, You ask questions, we give answers. That's how it works. We're going to do this until you run out of questions. Well, I mean, or it gets to our normal late time, but that's our plan because that's just how we're doing it. Oh, Slam Boy's got a massive slime on glass outbreak. So,
Oh, it's a green slime?
no, it's probably just the white slime, right? Like the
Really?
biofilm.
Mm,
That
I
can
guess.
happen in a new tank, right? That's very common in a new
Sure.
tank. There are lots and lots and lots of organisms that will eat it. Your mystery snails, your nearite snails, bristlenose plecos, odos, they will all consume it. Other than that, just scrape it off. It's usually just excessive nutrients in the water, causes a bacterial growth, and then it eventually just goes away. Kind of cool. Ooh, here's one. You ready?
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's a way to do this,
Hmm.
but let's see. Got to press the button. There we go. Girl says, what is the best way to smooth out the sharp bits of dragonstone?
Oh, for dragonstone, it's soft enough that I definitely think you could use like a sanding block.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't fix this thing from
For
last
sure.
week.
Or, like one of those metal.
Yeah, I would say the metal files.
Mhm.
Yeah, not so much a sanding block,
It
but
depends.
sandpaper.
It depends on the type of dragonstone you have because some is very, very crumbly and surprisingly squishy.
Yeah.
Because it's like mostly clay.
I would say a file, like a
So-
metal file would probably be the way I would try to do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
mine's
I'm
are-
sorry. I forgot to change this stupid thing from last week where it's popping up ads in the middle of our live stream.
Oh no! Did you do that again?
I did it again. People are going to be like, you're just doing that for on
yeah,
purpose.
because I'm already mad.
Yeah, I'm mad
I already
too.
got a commercial.
I did too. I'm sorry. So I want
Mhm.
to say I'm sorry from the beginning that all these things just popped right up and ruined our whole situation here, man.
Oh, we've got a longtime listener here.
Really?
Whips World is his name. Mr. Primetime Harley Man. That's
Okay.
a mouthful. Longtime listener, first time commenter, not fish related. But when are we going to get some quality wind therapy?
I will be reaching out to you.
Huh?
Yep. Glad
Stand
you're back in
by.
town.
Yeah, it's about time. Loser. Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Tampa says, I watched your video on snakeskin barbs. Did yours go after your plants or tank mates? I've read that they can nip plants and fins. Nope, they're in this tank right there. And
after
before
plants.
that, they were in a 40 breeder fully planted. So I've always had them with plants. I've never noticed any
Gosh.
issues with plants, and I've never noticed them to do anything, even take any interest at all, either in one another in an aggressive way or in other fish. They've been model citizens. That's why they're my favorite barb, because I cannot think of a single thing that I don't like about them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fish where you could be like, oh, watch out for this, but
Yeah.
it's not like they get overly huge. They're not too small. Great personality. They're not too active, but they're not completely stationary. Insane color. They tend to group decently well with one another. I love those fish. So as far as barbs go, definitely my favorite barb.
Eating plants. Oof.
Yeah,
No.
and absolutely one of my favorite shoaling, loose shoaling type fish.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Here we go.
Hmm.
Tank Girl, what fish can you breed in a 5-gallon? So I did a breeding for profit series. And so if you type in breeding for profit primetime aquatics, I actually started, I believe, with I think I started with a 5-gallon and slowly worked our way up all the way to like a, whatever it'd be realistic, 55 or 75 gallon. So breeding in a 5-gallon, well, it's not fish, but obviously your snails, your shrimp. If you do breed snails like the mystery snails, you're going to have to remove the babies because they're going to overrun that little volume of water very quickly and get quite messy. But you could do that and then move them out. As far as fish go, I would say your small rasboras, your mirrors, your dwarfs, and your chilies. But then again, you're going to be using a spawning mop. And normally what I say is, okay, put the adults in like a 10-gallon, just take the spawning mop out and throw it in a 5, right? And then you got to feed infusoria because those fish are going to be absolutely tiny. I suppose you could do endlers, but endlers are prettle active. But if you had like a male and 3 females, endlers would be okay.
What about pygmy cories?
It takes a little bit more effort than most fish do, although the
Right.
rasboras take some effort too. The other one would be the Florida least killifish. That would be a
Duh.
really, because you used to breed those
Yes.
in a 2.3 gallon.
They need like next to no
Yeah.
room whatsoever.
They're absolutely
and
tiny.
they're really fun because the little mama gives birth over like period of days. So you just constantly
Not to a single fish, but to multiple fish.
No,
It's a
she'd be
really
very
intensive
cranky.
labor. Yeah. There's a little fish just dangling out
There's
for
a
2 or 3
lot of
days.
hot water
Help
going
me,
back and
I
forth.
can't get out of here. Mom's like, leave my body. I can't. It's going to take me 2 or 3 days to gain the strength. I said get out now.
But they don't have that many babies.
No, they don't
But
have it. That would be a good
it
one.
is very awesome. And of course, shrimp.
And the gold variety of the Fleur-de-Lis
Sure.
Killie, I would definitely consider.
Oh, yeah.
Jay says, have any salt water? No, we
No.
don't. Every time I think about saltwater, I think about how busy my schedule is, and that pretty much knocks out any even faint interest in doing saltwater. It's more work than I feel like dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's that 24-hour cap in the day that I think really gets you. You can't go over 24 hours as
I was
much
like,
as you'd like
24
to.
hours. There's only 12 hours in it. I'm really not with it. So full
what I mean?
disclosure, what I've been doing all day is I basically woke up, ran down here, and I have been creating, editing, and posting, scheduling videos for a bunch of channels. So
So he doesn't
Yeah.
really know what's
Yeah.
going on.
I walked upstairs, I had some dinner, and I came back down. I'm like, oh, this is a familiar place that I've been the last, what would it be now, 13 hours? So, yeah, it was one of those days.
Got a lot done.
I did get a lot done. I do feel good about that.
Way to
Yeah.
go.
I
Did you
feel-
see? Did you see Super Chat from Budget Bonsai?
No. Why don't
You
you
should-
go ahead and read said super chat? Go on.
Jason's shirt is very cool.
Why, thank you. It is our old school. It's the first one that we.
It is.
that we
It's
ever
my
put
little
on the website.
sketch. I call it the Goby Guppy Drive-In. FYI.
Do we know
We are-
when
I am working on that.
you're
And
working on getting more in stock? Because it has been a
I
while
know
since we've kind
it
of.
has, but the problem why it's taking so long is, well, summer. So we do have some time because not a lot of people are really the fish keeping is not like up at the top. Plus buying, just people I don't think are looking too much. Plus, we had 2 rounds of shirts that did not work out. So we had a massive order that because they changed their printing like way. I don't know how you technically, and I just could not have them try it again because all these shirts that I had to send back, it's like such a waste. But the you couldn't see anything. So
She asked me a question.
and he answered and gave me a smart aleck response in addition to it.
So you go ahead and feel free as long as you are confident.
Well, I would like to bring it out towards the fall, right?
Yeah.
In addition to, a lot of people have been requesting a hoodie. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts, like yay hoodies or screw
Okay,
the
so
hoodies,
I have
just
a bunch
the
of
t-shirts.
questions if that were to happen.
Yeah, which design?
Yes. So would it be this one, or would it be like the blue
Tri.
Primetime Aquatics?
The blue tri.
Yeah. Well, people aren't going to know what that's our slang.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So or like the blue and white with the TV on it. So I'm wondering which one people would prefer on a hoodie.
Well, we could do when it gets closer to ordering, we could put out like community posts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll have to do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because then some people do prefer a small logo in the front and then the full design on the back. Although I generally like, I personally like the big design on the front. I don't. But
what I really want, but I'm sure that's going to start driving up the cost, is Primetime Aquatics down the sleeve.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Totally
I
cool.
like the hoodies or like the sweatshirts. They have the stuff down the sleeve. That's
yeah.
the coolest thing
I
to
would
me.
totally do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff says, could I do a Pistogramma species tank in a 29 gallon? 100% for sure. Yeah. That is not a problem.
Oh, pistos
Yeah.
are so cute. Like the little guy. The
Oh, the Panduro. Yeah, we have one
I love
male
him. He's growing up.
Pistogramma Panduro. I
He's
don't
so
know what's
cute.
up with that fish though, because it's small and
Yeah.
usually get a little bit larger than that one is, and that's a male, so
He's a little runt.
he's a runt. We somehow managed to keep the
So
runt of the litter
cute.
and chucked him in the 125 nano tank right behind my head over here. And he's still there. He's living life. And I saw the scarlet baddest in there the other day. There's 3 or 4 of them in there, believe it or not.
So they are still. Oh,
They
wow.
love to hide. Yeah.
They're so cute.
Mr. Skip, what's going on? Best ratio for bristlenose breeding. I have 3 females, 2 males. Should I split them into multiple tanks? They are over 2 years old and have no interest in breeding. That is not unusual. When I had my super reds, it took forever for them. I don't remember how many. It was well over a year and a half, 2 years, 2.5 years. I don't remember, but it was a long time until they started breeding. And then once they did, it was like, holy cow, I was getting overrun with fries. So you have 3 females, 2 males. I don't really know if you have to, unless your males start to fight with one another over territory, I wouldn't really worry about it. And the easiest way to make sure that they're not fighting is 1, at least a 20-gallon long, and 2, tons and tons of caves. Now, you've only got 2 males, and the males are the ones that guard the fries. So technically, you really only need 2 caves. But I might put in 4 caves for the 2 males so they can have some choices. Put 2 caves on each side of a tank. Leave the 3 females in there, because if the females just go in there, they get blocked in there, they deposit the eggs, males fertilize them, females are back out. So it's actually the males. It's really weird for a lot of people who are used to breeding fish. Sometimes, especially like females, if they're the ones that are going to, mouth brooders or something like that, they're not eating, they're getting skinny. It's the opposite for bristlenose. It's the males that are in the cave, making sure that the eggs are getting enough oxygen, kicking out the fungus ones, blocking the babies in until they get large enough to leave. And so they might be in there for a while, and they're the ones that don't eat as much as a result of it. But I'd leave them. That's what I generally did.
Whip says, he's the longtime listener
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a new line of shirts, new logo. Shoot me your sizes and I'll get them out to you. Oh, wait, you said cool shirts. If they're going to be your shirts, they're going to be totally cool. Yeah, he'll include that when he,
Nice.
when he,
You got that?
like what you want to say, like talks to you, like if you want to give somebody the info, you give them the 411, which every single time I send that to anybody at work, I have to explain what I'm saying. You give me the 411, they're like, what? The info, the 411. So anyways, I was trying to think of the equivalent of when you're like, when I talk to you later, when you, just never mind. See,
Okay, that
just
was
wasn't
lost.
happening.
Cody says, do you see yourself doing more species profiles on different apisto types? Great question. Probably not, only because our water parameters are such that apistos don't do great in our water long term. And so I don't like to bring fish in, do a species profile. And what inevitably there's only 2 apisto species that have done well in our Chicago tap water, and that is Apistogramma mendezi, which I did do a species profile on those fish a long, long time ago, and those lived forever. And then the Apistogramma panduro. That I might do at some point if I get some more in, just because they typically do very well. But the Apistogramma, like the Cockatoides, Agassizii, Borellii, I've had a bunch of them, the fire reds, and they all do the exact same thing. They look great when I get them in. They're basically adult size. They breed. I get fry. Then I lose one parent. Then I lose the other. Then I lose all the fry. And it always happens that way. And there's no, nobody's attacking anybody. Nobody's eating anything. It's just, I don't think they like our water parameters. And I've tried it enough where I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore, because clearly it's not the way to go. Okay. Shirley says, I used Maricin. Corey had a large white spot. After 2 doses of Maricin, had ammonia and nitrite get high, put in beneficial bacteria and prime. Should I do a water change? Yeah, I would, just to get that ammonia and nitrite down. That's a good idea. And do huge. Don't be afraid to do huge water change. Now, if the Maricin is still doing its thing, that gets tricky, right? Because if the Maricin destroyed your cycle, you've got the beneficial bacteria, that's awesome. But if you're still medicating and you do a huge water change, you're going to have to remedicate. So you are fighting 2 things at that point, which kind of stinks. But yeah, the ammonia and nitrite remaining elevated will cause just as much damage, if not more, than whatever pathogen is in the tank.
Oh, and if you didn't catch that, yes, we will be before fall, restocking the chalkboard design, which is this one right
This
here.
one, oh, that one right there.
Yes.
But it says no specific topic for today. No, it's been a long time since we've just had a straight up Q&A. We answer your questions and that kind of thing. We got 2 giveaways to do tonight, but yeah, there's no specific topic. We'll be back on topics next week.
You
But
should have
this
called
one-
it a Q&A palooza.
I should have called it that, but I failed in my job of making it sound more interesting
Just
than what it
saying.
was going to be. Scott, what plants would you recommend for a 55-gallon with angels and Congo tetras? That's a cool tank. Do you have suggestions? Because I
That
know I
reminds
do.
me. That reminds me of something.
Do you have
gotta bring up
suggestions?
here. Well, 55. That's kind of above my jam.
I have hair in my mouth or something.
When I think angels, I immediately think Val. And especially like a 55-gallon, you're going to get your money's worth. You're going to save big bucks too, because the Val will just spread everywhere. It creates like a nice backdrop. That's why I chose it for mine. And it's cheap. It's beautiful. It's very natural looking. And then, of course, in a 55, you're probably going to say swords, right?
I don't know, because the swords get so wide, you might wind up with the sword. Like the sword, we've got a huge sword plant
Yeah.
behind Joanna's head right there.
Yeah, it's
That's a
like
125, and that
It's
thing
one.
is one plant, and it's almost to the point where now it was planted towards the back of the tank. It's almost extended all the way to the front. So in a 55, it gets smashed. It's going to be right up against the front of the glass because the 55 is only 12 and a half inches wide. So I'm not a huge fan of putting sword plants in a tank that narrow. I do like your suggestion with the val. You can do the crypts. The other thing that I might consider is wisteria.
Okay.
Wisteria might be nice as a background plant if you don't want to
Sure.
do val. It's got some nice leafy, thick leaves and stuff.
And you can do some corkscrew Val, which is really cool. And then also the Crypt Sporalis.
I was going to say Sporalis too.
And there's
yeah.
also, you know, some of those in the nano are not swords. They're crypts.
Yeah.
So you get some funky crypts that actually have more like round leaves, more like sword-looking leaf
Yeah.
shapes. So lots of options.
Okay, let me see here. I'm like way behind in the chat already.
Oh, Suzanne said, did I see her blooming Anubias? Did you get a picture of a blooming Anubias?
Yes. And hold on.
Did
I'll
you share it?
Not yet. Because you were gone all day. I was down here and then you were gone.
Oh, it's today.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
I have had that occasionally, and
Yeah.
even boost. Isn't that the best?
Yeah,
That's
it's
just,
cool.
That's just
Very
so
cool.
rewarding. You are truly an underwater gardener then.
Yeah. Oh, Emma says, I want a zip-up jacket with your TV logo on the back.
Oh, that would be cool,
Nice.
especially with black on black.
No,
That'd
no,
be
no.
cool.
What if it was like the satin, like from the 80s, with the lines in the collar
Right?
and around
We
the wrists?
come out with that, and everybody's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
"That's
guys,
nice."
you still have 100 of these. Anybody? They're on clearance, $6. It only costs us $120 a piece to buy them. You guys said you wanted them. Well, actually, nobody said that, dude. You said you were gonna make them. Black satin, 1980s primetime aquatics, zip up,
right?
windbreaker.
All right, D-Rock, yes, totally, and yes, right here. TV logo is a patch. You could put them on hats, beanies, and backpacks. Oh yes, that's already.
Yeah. Yep.
We're on the same wavelength.
Andrew says, how can I keep my peacock gudgeon fry safe from my hang back filter? I rubber banded filter media around the intake, but I'm still worried that they'll get pulled in. That's fine. Peacock gudgeons, the fry are really, really tiny, as you're finding out. But you could also, if you don't want to keep that rubber banded filter media on there, especially if you think it's restricting the filter too much, just buy an intake sponge. All right, and the intake sponges will come in different pore sizes, so you get more of a fine pore intake sponge, and that will be a little bit more of a permanent solution where there's just no chance that they're getting sucked up. Where like the filter media, depending on how you have it rubber banded around, maybe there's a small chance, but for the most part, they know when they're starting to get pulled, and they generally stay real close to the bottom of the tank anyway, so I wouldn't be super overly concerned about it.
All right, so I got a comment from Tom, my bonsai guy, and he had mentioned Have you heard of like mini angels?
Mini angels, no.
He thought he might have, but so I looked it up. Not there might be dwarf angels, but I mean dwarf is probably like
Just
3 to
angels that
4
have
inches.
stunted growth.
Right.
Hey
They're-
man, we bred 100 angels and we kept them in a 10-gallon tank for like a year. Dwarf angels. They look a little gnarly. They're kind of triangular and not circular anymore. Well, that's because they grew a little funky when we kept them all in that 10-gallon way too long. They're like,
Shut
help
up.
me, man. I'm becoming triangular. They're all laughing at each other. Look at you. It's because our growth is all stunted. Our lips are sticking out way past our eyes.
It's
Oh,
all okay. It's all gonna be
yeah,
okay.
That would be horrible for them.
Oh, this is Nan. Thank you. Speaking of shirts, did you tell Jason my suggestion? Since Jason, you're basically the nitrogen cycle guy
Uh-oh.
of Fish Tube. Have you ever considered putting the nitrogen cycle circle around a primetime logo?
I have not done that. I have not considered it.
I've not
That would
thought
be
of that either.
interesting.
I think that would be very. We should get some sort of a sciencey shirt for all you science nerds.
Perhaps. And if you are a science nerd, check out the STEM Nerds channel that I recently started about, I
Yeah.
don't know, a month ago. I've just been kicking out videos because oh man. So when I did this, I purposely started, we have 5 units in my micro course, and I purposely started with unit 3 because I wanted to get the videos, at least get some videos out for my summer students. So I'm like, okay, I'll start with unit 3. That'll allow me a little bit of a head start. Then I'll go 3, 4, 5, then circle back around to 1 and 2 and finish that for the fall. Well, I am in still the first unit, and these videos are taking me a lot longer than I thought they were going to take. And all of a sudden, I realized next week, my students just about catch up to me, and I've really got to get moving even faster. Thus, the 13, 12, whatever it is, however many hours, days that I had today, and probably for the foreseeable future trying to do that. But anyway, STEM Nerds, all about biology. Right now I'm focusing on microbiology, but then I will kind of shift gears and then fill in more general biology. Then I've got genetics coming in and all kinds of fun stuff. Eventually we'll add some A&P, anatomy and physiology there as well.
And guaranteed I won't understand that either.
You will understand it if
No.
you really put your mind to it.
I can't put
Yeah.
my mind to science.
You can put
should
your
be a
mind
shirt.
to it. I can't. Yeah.
You know what, Whip, I am so proud of you. He said, yep, Val and angels are the perfect combo. That's one comment. And swords get too big. And then he says, look at me answering plant questions.
Wow.
This is a great moment, Whip. I'm so proud.
Okay, says which GFagas do well in Chicago water? All of them. I have, let's see,
Yeah.
Alta France,
Mhm.
Wine Milleri, Megasema, Brasiliensis,
Necrosis.
Steindachnerii, thank you, Dichrosis. Oh my gosh, I was on a roll and then you just threw me completely off. Tapajos. Hold on, I'm missing at least 2 or 3. Oh, and I'm missing 2 or 3. I don't want to sit here and take up all your time trying to think of them, but I've never had them not do well in Chicago water.
Even the micro GFagas.
Huh? Oh, Bolivian Rams?
Just figured I'd throw that in. However, not all of them.
Okay. Jason, what plant does not do well in your aquarium? You're having trouble in your aquarium. So what plants do you not like for...
Java fern.
Yeah, Java Fern's not the greatest.
Java fern, you know what? It doesn't like me. I tried to like it. I gave it another couple of chances. We've had limited success. Some tanks, it'll actually do okay in. It never just takes off and be like, oh my gosh, I have so much Java fern. It never happened. But the only thing I can suggest is if it doesn't work for you, either try it in a tank that you don't want it in, because then it'll probably do okay. Or, you know what, just give up like I did. Give up. Just move to something else
Yeah.
that you have more success with, like Anubias. Anubias does well. The Bulbitis, I don't even know how you say it, Hoidolite, or whatever. the ferny looking one
Yeah.
does much better than the Java fern looking one.
The best Java fern that I've ever had was in the 75 gallon that used to be over here. I had some Java fern Wendelov, and the plant lived the entire time in that tank and
Oh,
did
it did.
absolutely awesome.
It did.
Why in that tank it decided to
I
do
don't know.
awesome, I have no idea, because I believe I actually took that plant out of that tank when we broke it down, stuck it somewhere else where it immediately died. So maybe, just throwing it out there, but that was also the tank that had the lights. Holy cow.
Oh, Kessel.
Thank you very much. The Kessel lights. So maybe it was like, well, you're shining the best light on my brain I've ever felt. Let me go ahead and just stay alive for you then. You invested a lot of money in me. I'm like, well, it wasn't
And
you,
then-
Java Fern Wendelov, but
And then, it took,
yeah.
then you took
and
it
then I
out.
took it out and put it in a tank with a standard
And you said,
Stingray. And you're
I'm
like,
out.
you just shine my brain with a Stingray. I'm going to die. Yep.
Oh, Radina, Bacopa. Yes, Bacopa would do very well. That gets very tall. You could totally use that in a 55. That would be really fun.
Yeah. Budget bonsai. What is the limiting factor of stocking a 2.5 gallon? Space, water quality, maintenance. Space. Always space, because you can deal with water quality. I mean, if you were really serious, you could change water out 3 times a day in a 2.5 gallon. So that's not going to be an issue. It's always the space when it comes to a tank that small. So you just have to be really, really selective about what you put in there. Shrimp, snails are fine. Heterandra formosa, the fleur-de-lis killie would be fine. You could make an argument that the chilies, dwarfs, miras in a group of 5 or 6 would be okay in a tank that size. But beyond that, that's about it.
Yeah,
It's just such a tiny, tiny tank.
it is tiny. Oh my gosh, that's right. I forgot. I saw something at Petco.
Yeah.
Before I say anything, I have to do some calculations. So never mind. I didn't say anything.
Wow. So you just give a half a story and then start
Yeah.
writing down calculations.
It looked like their 2.5 gallons were slightly different dimensions.
So this is probably one of the best excuses for being late that I've heard in a long time. Noelle said, good evening, everyone.
Hi,
Sorry I'm
Noelle.
late. Family wanted to stop by the neighborhood taco truck at the park.
You know what?
That-
Life is about priorities, and I say you nailed it.
Yeah.
Well played. What a great summer
So can I
activity.
just tell you something, then we're going to do our first giveaway.
Yay!
Yesterday, I went with a colleague and we went to, she found this
no.
place. It was a Mexican restaurant. We knew nothing about it. So we go there and we walk in and there's like no place to sit. It's literally just a place where it was a house converted to a restaurant. It's a dude, his dad, his mom. It's like a family thing. So that was kind of nice. And he's like, well, if you want to sit, there's some benches and some little tables out back, whatever. So he's hyping up all his food, the burritos, and then he's got the hot sauce, right? And the hot sauce, he's like, okay, there's 3 different types of hot sauce. There's a 4 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, and then it was the 13.2 out of 10 or something like that. And he's talking this stuff up, and I'm like, oh boy, okay, well, give me one of each, and I'll put it on the side. And so we get our burrito. My colleague gets her little chimichanga or whatever,
Is like with sauce on it?
no, quesadilla, sorry.
Oh.
So open up the 4, taste it. It's like, that was just like a salsa-y thing. Open up the 7, still nothing. And she's like, no, I'm not really feeling it. And I noticed, taking the bite, she's already got the 13.2 out of 10, when she was hyping up, oh, you got to be really careful with this. And I'm like, okay. So I take my little fork and I put a little bit on there. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're eating it right now? She's like, yeah. I bite into it. I'm like, well, there's a little bit of spice here. So I was like really disappointed that this hot sauce was not. And then I'm like taking big scoops. I'm like, this is nothing. I mean, he's like, oh, we got a 49 out of 10 coming out. And what's that going to be, like slightly hot? So we learned from one of our friends, like if you like spicy food, you go to Thai places, that you can't just go by their menu. This is a fun fact for everybody. You can't just, like if they say something is spicy and you order it, you have to order it Thai hot or Thai spicy, and then they give you the real deal. But they warn you repeatedly, are you sure this is what you want?
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, that's what makes fun. That's what makes eating so much fun. Okay, hold on a second. Before we get into the giveaway, we need to thank Dennis, because Dennis
is doing Dennis things.
One of the most generous people. Thank you so very much, Dennis, for doing what you do all the time. I really appreciate it. We really, really do. Don't ever think we take that for granted, because we don't. We don't take people's kindness for granted. That goes for everybody. So do we want to do this first, or do we want to do all this first? I say we go this way first. It will go
Okay.
smaller giveaway into larger giveaway later.
Really? Well, this one's my favorite.
Well, I know it's your favorite, but I'm just saying, I don't know. I guess they're both pretty awesome. So, okay. First giveaway. I'm sorry, I didn't take it out of the plastic. This is going to be your copy. Here it is, the latest in Amazonas current affairs.
Pretty.
Life in flowing waters. Check those out. Leporanus. Pretty darn cool. This fish right here looks really, 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 really similar to those minnows that I have right over there. So a winner is going to get this. And as I always say, if you're not aware, in the description of this live stream, we have a link for people who are primetime listeners that will potentially get you a nice deal on Amazonas Magazine. Great magazine, awesome illustrations, awesome information. So one winner is going to get that. Now, I need to bring up some things.
All right,
here.
I'm going to read a super chat first. That
Go right ahead.
This is from our one and only Emma Rose. So let's see. And then second floor, it didn't send the words. Okay. I meant to say, here's my donation to start the satin jacket line. So I think you've got one vote for the satin jackets.
Okay.
I have the image of Greece in my head now.
Also, thank you to Marie and Josh. Appreciate the super chat. Hey, best way to rid pest snails. So did a whole video on the subject, but the short version of that is control your feeding. That's super important. So it all starts there with controlling how much food is winding up at the bottom of the aquarium. That can be harder to do when you have shrimp, and maybe you've got mystery snails or other types of organisms that you have to feed that primarily eat from the bottom. There are snail traps. The Sera snail trap, S-E-R-A, is my favorite. It is a trap where the snails go in, they can't come back out. But then if you accidentally trap something of value that you really want to keep, you can always open that thing up into a bucket or a container and then pick out shrimp or any other snails that should be, in your aquarium. Assassin snails, but I always recommend, hey, if you got a 20-gallon, you've got a major pest snail infiltration, you might need 8 or 10 assassin snails, and just know that once they do their job, you're going to trade pest snails for assassin snail populations, but they tend to burrow. They look kind of pretty, so to me, it's not as big of a deal. There are fish that eat snails. A lot of your loaches will eat them. Many types of cichlids will eat them. So that is some ways. You could put in like rapashi or a cucumber or something like that, and when the snails just kind of all gather around, grab the chunk and just manually remove them. Are you going to get every single one of them? No. Will you get a lot of them over time and make a difference? Definitely. For tanks that have sand, take a net, go right into the sand, scoop them out. I'll do that with Malaysian trumpet snails in our bristle nose breeding tank, and I mean, I will scoop out hundreds of snails, and that works really, really well. So those are all potential ways to deal with that problem. Okay, now, the giveaway. Again, Amazonas Magazine, one winner is going to win this. You got to live in the United States because that's where we mail to. And the person who is going to win this first giveaway is the person who is going to
Hold on.
pick a number between 1 and 10. Go. So the first person who picks a number between, that's done. Holy mackerel.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that happened
That was
real quick, man.
Really quick.
So just so you know, I didn't mention this ahead of time, but we have all of our screens on all messages, and then we just make sure that all of our screens agree, and that's how we choose the winner. So
Yeah, and our screens
sometimes your
probably
screens are going to prioritize your own messages.
They will not match your screen.
But as long as all 5 of our screens are matching, that is how we do this thing until I get off my lazy behind and figure out the better way to do that, which I've been now saying I'm going to do for the last 7 months. So don't hold your breath. Okay, so go ahead. You got this, right?
Yes, that was pretty easy.
Yeah, right? Okay, so reveal the number. Number is number 3. Scott Davis, you are the winner of this first giveaway.
Yes.
There is going to be a second one. So Scott Davis, what you need to do is you need to send us an email. And that email needs to go to Primetime Giveaway.
Singular.
Primetime Giveaway at yahoo.com. Send us your mailing address and we will get that out to you. And then in a little while we'll do the second giveaway, the the one that has a little bit more stuff.
You
if
got
you will.
another super chat
Okay, let me
before the number palooza.
before the big old thing. Lucy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm in for the satin jacket. I love it because you know
We
what?
have people with
don't
taste.
don't mess around with my I do dumb things sometimes, and there's a
Yes.
chance that at some point you'll be like, "What are they wearing on that live stream?" Like, holy
Like, oh
cow!
my gosh, they
it's
did
the
it.
satin jackets. Yeah, it could happen, and there will be like one or two other people that are like, "Hey, you know what? This sounds like a great idea. I'm going to do that too."
And then it'll just be us four with our satin jackets.
So you want to know what's really stupid? This stupid ad. Again, guys, I'm sorry that these ads are popping up in the
Yeah, I
middle
know,
of a
it's
live
really
live
annoying.
stream. I didn't mean to do that.
It's
I'll have
really
to figure
awful.
out what I did last week and this week to make that happen because it's annoying. But then every time it happens, one of my screens freezes up and then the thing I have to restart it again. So I am sorry if you are experiencing that too because I am also suffering. Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. Zach says, "Hello, Jason and Joanna. I hope you have a great day. Greetings from Indonesia."
Aw,
That's cool. Glad you're here. What time is it there? It's got to be, I'm going to guess, maybe it's got to be morning. I would say it's probably really early
Yes.
morning, right? Like maybe 5 a.m. Is it? Let me know. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of satin jacket wearers up
Oh,
in here. We got-
Michelle would even wear one. Nice. There's 5 of us now.
So Whip says, "I don't think you can stop it. It's a YouTube thing now." You know what?
Oh,
Well, that's
oh my
Whip.
God.
That's funny you mention that because when it happened in the past, it was my mistake, and then it was a setting, but I haven't been seeing that setting. That's why I'm confused last week and this week why we're seeing that when I don't remember actually selecting the thing that allows that to happen. So I'm gonna have to go
Without it.
back and check a lot more closely to see. I will say, just as a user of YouTube, it's becoming just a little excessive.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when they string 2 or 3 that you can't even like skip
Yeah.
through. It's
Yeah.
like, really?
I've noticed that
And-
probably in the last 6 to 9 months or so.
And part of it is it automatically will just put them on, and I think it's up to you to take them off. I mean, they're just really having you
Yeah.
go through like hoops. So
Yeah,
it's not always the person saying, "I'm going to put 50 commercials on here." I
let
think
me
that's a
make
good
the
idea.
video completely unwatchable. Lynn, thank you so much. 57 months, man. That's almost 5
Lynn,
years
how are you feeling?
when I do the math.
Is that our
What
one
do
and
the
only Lynn?
flaming arrow gobies eat? I've been feeding live baby Brian and Flake. Do they need algae wafers? So flaming arrows, I have not fed them any algae wafers, believe it or not. Would they eat them? Maybe, but in fact, I haven't been feeding them live baby Brian either, unless you've been just dumping some in there. But
No.
it's just been all North Flake stuff, North Fin flakes and pellets, like the small. So Bug Pro, because those pellets are pretty small, and then whatever flakes I have. So I just alternate between the kelp, the cichlid, the krill, and the community. Just kind of crush it up, and that's what they have been consuming in our fish room. So I don't really, as many of you know, when we bring in all these fish, I don't baby them in any way. It's like you're going to eat whatever I give you, or you're going to have a really bad day and your stomach's going to growl. So that's what I've been doing. The one thing I will say is the thread fin, the high fin gobies in the 75 over here, they are very much an algae eater type of, they're constantly grazing on the glass and the rocks and the wood. So
Sure.
it's been interesting.
It's a goby thing.
Well, that's not a goby thing because none of the rhinogobias do that, right? These guys
Oh,
have
that's
it.
true,
They're
they
like, I mean,
don't.
literally, they're acting like a pleco, or they're acting like a Chinese algae eater. They're just like all along the surfaces
Little
all the time.
Pac-Mans.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, you're right. Rhinogobias don't do that so much.
No, they got a big old mouth. They just sit there.
They just basically
that.
sit on rocks and just stare at you.
That's right. They give you a look. Like, what's up, man?
Zachy says 8:45 a.m. You were correct.
Oh, well, I wasn't correct. I was a little bit off,
you
but
said morning.
I did say the morning. Yes, I
So
did
you're
say
right.
that. Well, that's pretty cool.
Close enough.
Sketty Nona's here. What is going on? Glad you're hanging out with us. All right, you go ahead and fish through the thing. I was
Sure.
looking for something here.
All right.
Switch to a new screen.
Oh, Do It says you have a very distinguished beard.
Why, thank you. My beard says thank you as well.
Oh, no.
Really appreciate that.
No.
Just made my beard smile.
No.
All right, hold on a second here. Hold on, I'm doing something. You keep going.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Roan says 2 weeks in a row I was second. That's terrible, but I don't even think on our screen you were second. Which is
Does that make you feel better? Wow. 2 weeks in a row, I was second. Sad face.
Well,
yeah, but you weren't even second on our screen. Let's twist that.
If that
a
were
little.
me, it would make me feel better.
Jeez.
Like, oh, okay,
Now
I
you
didn't
see?
just miss it.
Do you see what
but
I deal with?
my brain does not function like the normal human. I'm aware of that.
Budget
And so is he.
Bonsai is like, I'm not getting the ads. Ho, 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 ho.
Oh, you got the premium, right?
Or just wait. You're going to get like back to back to back to back of like 3-minute unskippables. And then it's going to get so bad that you can't even log out of the app or anything. It's like, no, we've commandeered your phone. You haven't been getting ads. You will now sit here. YouTube does this to your eyes. You're going to get all the ads for the next hour. Yeah. I know, it's crazy. I don't know. You know how it's funny how entertainment has changed over time. You used to have over-the-air TV, and you just expected commercials, and then cable came out. It's like, hey, commercial free, and then that basically stopped real fast. And then you had social media, which was supposed to be kind of like people just doing their own thing, and then you would have very interspersed commercials, but not all that much. And then it became a corporate thing, and you have more and more companies that are now on social media, and then pretty soon it just became a giant advertisement. I guess that's just the way of the world. Got to pay the bills somehow, I suppose. Scott, thank you so much for becoming a prime timer. Really appreciate that. Andrew says, how do you cure columnaris in new guppies? It's not something I really have to treat all that often. So maybe somebody else has got this is exactly how I did it, and it works every time.
So Emma Rose is thinking about starting a hashtag satin jacket and commenting on every video to make enough YouTube money to make it happen.
Nice.
Oh, I think this idea is already stuck in my head. It just sounds so amazing.
Yeah, we could really take that to the next level.
Right.
I wonder if we could start I wonder if the community, like all of us, could start a satin jacket trend. Like it comes back worldwide, and it all started here.
This really
with the
weird live
Prime
stream.
Aquatics satin jacket offering. Like, would it? Oh, you know what we could do to really up our game?
Billboards.
Make it gold. Yes, make it gold.
Solid gold.
No, it'd be gold, but then it would have like
No,
the
you'd have
cuffs
to call it solid
with
gold.
with the colors still. I mean, it would be, because they had like the
I know.
stripes around the
Yeah,
cuffs and the
It's
thing.
called a stripe. Yeah.
We might not make it gold because I just saw like 15 people
I
go,
don't
all right,
think
forget the satin jacket, man.
Right. That's right. I don't think I can pull off gold.
I'd
look sick.
For those of you who've been around the channel for a while, you know that my favorite football team is the 49ers because they were awesome in the 80s when I was a kid and into the 90s when I was a young adult, and so I just love them. It's unfortunate, though, because I have a 49ers Christmas sweater. The problem is, I tell my students, so around Christmas time, I wear the ugly sweaters, and I tell them all the time, these sweaters are going to get really uglier as time goes on, and I save the 49ers one for last because the tannish gold that is in that sweater clashes so much with my skin tone that it's not that the sweater is ugly. It is the sweater combined with me is offensively horrible. It's not like, oh, that's a funny ugly. It's just like, you need to do something different because that is a horrendous combination you've given yourself there. So please stop that.
I still remember, like way back when, I don't even know if we were married or what. We went to a store. It might have been a Harley store. Looking around, and you saw like a sweatshirt or something, and you were excited, so you just threw it on over your shirt, whatever. And you look in the mirror like, ah! And you're like, oh, I gotta get it off.
That was not a Harley store. That was actually at Nordstrom.
Was it?
Or Von Mauer or something. And it was like this. It was an orange, kind of like a tight shirt, and it had some stripes on it, but it was orange. And I don't know, maybe at that point in my life I had never worn an orange shirt, at least not as an adult. And I put this thing on, I walked out of the dressing room and I looked in the big mirror and I freaked out. It was not a color that goes well with
It was
me
a
at all.
no-go. Yeah.
Oh no, it was about as bad as you can make it. It was horrible.
Whip says by 49ers, he means Steelers. Good one, Whip.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Second giveaway. Let's do that in about 5-10 minutes. What do you think? Does that sound good? Because I have it right in front of me. Ian says it is 2:42 here in the UK.
Oh,
Never
good
caught
morning,
you guys
UK.
live before. I'm glad you're here. You and your lack of sleep.
In the
Thanks
Shire.
for being here.
In the
Yeah.
Shire. Tell the Shire that we said hello.
Glad you're here.
That would be such an epic event. Primetime Aquatics goes over the pond.
Sure.
You
Does a
don't even
lot.
have to go. I'm just going
Okay.
to go and just use that header so that I can go to my homeland.
That you've never been to, nor are you
know-
actually part of.
You know what? If we wouldn't have had that stupid tea party, I could have had a British accent.
Top of the morning to you.
That's not British.
I know. Rowan says, what are some tips for keeping shrimp and what type of stocking do you recommend? I currently am cycling a brand new 2-gallon shrimp tank. I am so excited to try keeping them. So thing number one, with the shrimp, depends on the type of shrimp. So if you've got the Caridina, however you want to say it, those shrimp will do decently in moderately hard water with a pH that is between 7 and 8, like we do here. Breed like crazy, no problems. But if you're keeping the Caridina, they're going to want softer water with a lower pH, and so that's the first thing to consider. Once you have your water parameters set in a 2-gallon, I might just start with maybe a half a dozen or so and just give them lots of plants and rock and wood, maybe some botanicals in there, and just let them do their thing. And eventually, as they get comfortable, if they're doing well, they're going to start breeding for you. Now, in a 2-gallon tank, you don't have a ton of space for keeping the shrimplets, and so you will have to kind of make sure you manage populations. I mean, in a 2-gallon, could you have 20 shrimp in there eventually? Yeah, probably 15 or so. But you will have to remove some of the shrimp as you go. The other thing to consider in a 2-gallon is a lot of times those 2-gallon tanks are all-in-one tanks, which means there's like a pump and they've got a return. Make sure, if that's the case, that you have some type of either sponge or floss blocking the intake, because the shrimp will go back there. You'll never see them again. If it's just a 2-gallon tank with a sponge filter, you're totally fine. Feed them very sparingly, right? So if you only got 4 to 6 shrimp to start, they're not going to eat a lot. And so the biggest thing there is just not overfeeding them to mess up your water quality. And I would highly recommend sand, because as the food sinks to the bottom, if you have any kind of gravel in there, the food sometimes gets caught up in the gravel, and then it just causes havoc all over your tank. Yeah.
I just had the funniest thought. Picture this. Later 2025 in the fall. It's a fish event. Any fish event. Primetime Aquatics is there in their booth, and all we have are different colors of satin jackets.
Oh.
Different colors. It's just cracking me up.
That
Anyways.
would, and well, you know what? If we're gonna do that, you got to go all in. And on the backdrop, you have to have Primetime
disco light.
Aquatics.
You
No.
gotta- you have to have a disco ball.
No.
I want a disco ball.
Whatever, you can do whatever you want. But you have to have the balloons that you pop with a dart, and if you do it, you get the Primetime Aquatics logo on a mirror with the wood frame.
Oh,
I mean, come on, you got to do it the right way.
yeah. Well,
Nobody makes those. Does anybody actually have one of those? We actually have one of those right over there.
the one that I got you?
I don't know if you got, I don't know where that, I actually don't know where that came from. The one that's up over around the corner there.
Yeah, I got that for you. I thrifted that, and I thought you would like it because it's so 70s.
It is, and I do like it. That's why it's been there for the last 15 years. But nobody does that anymore. I think more people should start collecting the mirrors with the logos on them and hang them up.
I'm
And
telling you, I'm getting
Yeah.
so many merch ideas. It's just amazing. Lynn said that every 5-year prime timer should get a gold satin jacket.
wow, now
Wouldn't
that
it be
would be
cool?
cool.
Right?
Yep.
That would be
Yeah.
so amazing how many non-5-year members we would have. People would drop off right before 5-year just so they didn't have to get it. They'd be like,
My gosh.
oh, I
Don't,
let it
please.
lapse.
Please
Oops.
don't sell me that. Don't give that to me. All right, we need to do this. This is crazy. This is happening to me now like every 3 or 4 minutes. I'm getting
know.
a stupid
I haven't gotten that many,
in-stream
but-
ad that's blocking up my thing, and then I have to close out. And this is really super annoying. Okay, sorry for raging about my own mistake. We're going to do the second giveaway. Are we ready for this? Are you ready for this? Womp,
Ready.
womp, womp. Okay, so the second one actually comes from 2 different companies. The first, the smaller part of the second giveaway, is I have all of these. These, let me see here. Yeah, good. So I have these. One person is going to win 4 packs of Northfin pellets. And so what we have here is we've got the community and we have the cichlid. The community pellets, at least in this package, are 1/2 mil, so they're very small. And then we have the 1 mil cichlid pellet. The formulas are slightly different, but I feed these to all of my fish: shrimp, snails, plecos, cory cats, cichlids, anything that takes food from the bottom. We'll get this stuff, we'll eat it. They absolutely love it. Why Northfin, you ask? Because Northfin is the food that we feed because it is super high quality. No fillers, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors. You look at the ingredients, which is absolutely microscopic. I could have a magnifying glass attached to my face right now and I wouldn't be able to read this particular package. But I don't need to because I can tell you that the first ingredients are always going to be some type of actual thing, whether it's krill or fish, or for the kelp wafers, actual kelp. And so that's why we feed it. So you're going to get that. And then you're also going to get something that everybody needs, and that is water conditioner. This is Fritz Aquatics. Fritz Aquatics is a channel sponsor. We've been partnered with them for years because they've got awesome stuff. They've got awesome water additives. They're the ones that make the Maricin 2, the Fix Ick, the Expel P, the Paracleanse, the Expel F, all those great meds, copper safe, and we've got the Fritz Complete. And of course, they make all the Fritzzyme 7, the Fritz Turbo Start. And by the way, I was able to go and visit the Fritz facility while I was down at the ACA. I came back up through Dallas, and I am so glad I was able to go. Fritz Aquatics, not only are they a great company, but my gosh, the people there are some of the nicest people I have ever met. Got to tour their facility, got to see their quality control, got to talk to their microbiologist, and that video will be coming out, if all goes well, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. The first part of that conversation will happen. And so for those of you who really like to talk about, get really in the weeds, into the science of what's going on in your aquarium, especially in the microbial side, 2 weeks, so not this Sunday, but the next Sunday, we've got an interview with the Fritz microbiologist, and then I follow it up with a part 2 the following week. Lots of nerdery going on there, and I know some of you really like that, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. But anyway, one winner is going to get this Fritz Complete, and so it's a water conditioner, neutralizes all the bad stuff, the chlorine, the chloramines, and then also ammonia and nitrite. And then you're also going to get the fish food. Now, in order to do that, I need to get my screens all back up and running again and caught up the way that they should be.
Second floor just wants to know, are you having a hard time reading without your glasses?
Shannon, Ryan, look at this. Look, it is not even. I could put on 16 pairs of glasses. I could squint with all my might. I'm not reading this. Now this I can read, right? On the other side, I can read. It says community right there, plain as day.
There you go.
I do not require the glasses that you speak of. Okay, so this time the winner, I can't see. She hides it for me. Like if I don't,
I'm already in the zone.
I need to be able to see it.
I'm in the zone.
Hold on a second. I'm going to make sure that I've got. Yeah, I do. Okay, so the person who's going to win that needs to pick
It's between a certain range.
a number. The first person between 10 and 20. Feel free to start typing away between 10 and 20. First person who gets 10 and 20 now. 10 and 20. Done. We're done. We're done.
Really?
We're done.
Mine is, I'm still waiting
We're
for it to
done.
populate.
You're waiting to populate.
Yeah, it's not populating.
Your stuff populates very slow. There were some people who did not follow the directions early on, but that's okay. Sometimes we get in a hurry. We get in a hurry and we just put our favorite number in there and bam, the next thing you know, it's the wrong range and you're like, dang it. He does the giveaways dumb anyway. I know, I've heard that all before. Okay, are you
All right,
ready? 'Cause
I'm gonna do my double check here.
well, I've already double checked. My
Okay.
gosh,
What do you have?
Oh,
Yes.
that's gonna be fun anyway. So
Right?
go ahead, reveal the number. That's you, Anna Banana.
And a banana.
Anna Banana. That's just fun to say.
Yay!
I
It
feel
is.
kind of rewarded
I
for
used
that.
to be a Joanna Banana. That was
So
my
Anna
nickname.
Banana, what you have to do is, again, you're going to send us an email to primetimegiveaway
Singular.
at yahoo.com. So primetimegiveaway at yahoo.com. Send us an email with your address and your actual name so that we can get this stuff out to you in the next few days or so. Thank you for playing, everybody.
Yay.
That was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need to find where this chat last left off, because it happened again. You've got to be kidding me right now. I'm just
Why
gonna
are
see
you getting
in
so
one
many?
of the screen. I'm getting these ads on my phone like every 2 minutes.
Although my phone's about ready to die, so
Well, mine's stuck. So
mine was stuck before this, but I had to go back out and go back in.
I am so over it, man. For real. I'm over it. Okay.
Oh, here. This is fun. Not fun, but this is fascinating.
Okay.
From Robert. I took my fish to the vet and found encysted amoeba like parasite in the gills, and the body has an excessive amount of white blood cells. I've been unable to treat. Any suggestions?
I have no idea. I've never had to deal with that in my whole life. I don't know.
Gosh, I mean, I don't even see how a vet. I mean, how many vets really treat fish?
You know, we were talking about that the other day. You know,
No.
like for instance, in Canada, they can't get the meds that we have here,
No.
and that was one of the things. Like at the ACA, we were discussing because there'd be all kinds of people that were, Canadian that were at that event in San Antonio. Like, oh, I was at the Fritz booth, and Fritz had displays, but there was nothing in the actual medication displays, right?
Okay.
Because why carry all that? We're not selling stuff there. We were just talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Canadian people got really excited until there was nothing in the packages. And they're like,
Oh,
but then it kind of centered around the fact that, think about how stupid that is in terms of you have to have a vet prescribe the meds for your fish, which is going to dramatically drive up the cost to be sure. But then realistically, if you have a sick fish, now in your case, it worked out okay. But for most people, if their fish are really sick, they'd have to remove the fish from the aquarium, put it in some type of a container, bring it to the vet, have the vet inspect it. The vet, in order to properly prescribe the medication, is going to have to do some type of a fecal smear or some type of a scrape. Otherwise, they're not going to be in any better position than you are to know what's actually causing the illness. Provided that you can even find a vet that knows anything about fish disease, that's a challenge in and of itself. But then you've got to take the fish and bring it back. And most fish get so stressed by that process, you probably wind up doing more harm than good. So, but as far as the amoeba thing goes and the high white blood cell count, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. I'd hate to even say. Okay.
Oh, and again, we like to remind everybody, anybody who thought that they got the number first, your chat will prioritize yours above others. So it'll look to you that yours got first, and somebody else it will look like they got theirs first. So since we're not, putting our number in, we make sure that all of our 5 screens match, and that's the one we take. We do many double checks, and there you go. So I know it's frustrating because a lot of people think they get it first, but we have to go on what's on our screen.
Noelle says, I'm holding out the pink lady.
Holding out 4.
We're holding out for the pink lady, pink jacket in prime time.
I could see that. It totally
All right.
like the grease.
Yeah?
I can see that. It'd be magical.
Is that skin tone pre or post motorcycle sunburn? Can I just show it?
Oh, I said not to.
All right. There you go. That's the difference right there. It was way, way, way worse a week ago. Way worse. And I told myself this year that wasn't going to happen. I told myself I was going to go outside and I was going to remain a single tone and not have the big time farmer's tan this year. And it's worse now than it's ever been in my life. So I'm going to have to deal with that somehow. But, oh, man, just not cool. Gabriel says, I just got a Devo Samuel number 19 jersey last year for Christmas. Then he left. So here's
it's the
my
worst.
philosophy. When it comes to jerseys, I have a tote a giant tote of really, really, really awesome jerseys. But what I have decided in my life, and I decided this probably 20 years ago, I will not get a jersey with a current player on a current team. Will not do it because they don't stick around long enough, and then you've got this jersey that doesn't make any sense. So I always get the retro throwbacks, and so I've got Nolan Ryan and Pete Rose and George Brett and Ryan Sandberg and Andre Dawson. Now, granted, those people moved to different teams, but by that point, they're at least on the team that I liked, right? Except for like Pete Rose, I have his Expos jersey because that's like one of the coolest jerseys of all time, that baby blue Expos that I have. I love that thing. The Nolan Ryan, Houston Astros, really awesome. The only issue is I got those jerseys at a slightly larger size, and back when I got some of those jerseys, I was like 215, 220 pounds. So, and now I'm like 170, and so they're a little large. I wish I could figure out a way to...
They were large to begin with. They were even larger.
Yeah, they were, because some of them, the sizes were jacked up, and so you get these sizes, and you're like, oh, this looks a little big, and now they're just like, yeah, not cool. Ken says, love your Harley Davidson channel, going through the content. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're doing that. I appreciate it. Yep, Iron Mission. That's our Harley Davidson channel, our motorcycle riding channel. Just posted a video where we did some cool rides in Wisconsin area. And even if you don't ride a motorcycle, it's kind of fun just to see cool places to go. Man, there's a lot to talk about this satin jacket. I think we might have
I know.
Kicked a bee's nest or something.
Might have, but probably also perturbed half the people attending the stream.
Yeah.
Enough with the satin jackets.
Yeah. I'm not wearing one.
But we really like to think about it.
Yeah.
Mosh Madness says, is there any fish you haven't had yet that you'd like to try in one of your aquariums? Can I go first?
Sure.
While you think, I'm going to
Okay.
answer. Anableps. I want them so bad. I want to clear out one of these low boys and move in my anableps. And I think they would be so fun if they could go with mud skippers. Because then I
Which
could have
they
the
could,
mud.
because they're both brackish water, right?
Yeah, the mud skipper show and the anablep show.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool.
It would be amazing.
For me, gosh, I mean, it gets harder every year because we have access to pretty much all the fish. And so whatever I want, I'm just like, I'll just bring those in. And then I get to experience them for a little while.
Seahorses, I'm just saying. You
Well,
would like,
yeah, that would, it's
you-
not fresh
yeah.
water, but I'm really at a point now in fish keeping where I don't have any bucket list freshwater fish anymore where it's like, I need that in my life. I really have to have it. Because chances are those fish that I really, really wanted, I've already had at this point after 46 years of fish keeping and just the access to the fish. I'm trying to think if there's anything where I'm like, yeah, I have to have those on the freshwater side. The only one, but I can't have it, and I won't because it's illegal, is the snakehead. The really ornate snakehead. That would be one. If they ever made those legal, which they won't, I would really want one of those. But other than that, like fish you can actually obtain without breaking the law, which I'm not really into doing that because we have enough problems in fish keeping and enough heat, if you will. Yeah, seahorses would probably be the thing that I would want to get. When I just got through saying I don't want to do a saltwater tank because of the work, and here I am wanting seahorses. And Kay brings up a good point. Imagine what a fish embroidered on a satin jacket would look like.
I know,
Fish
right?
embroidery.
It would look amazing.
Yeah.
It would look amazing. I'm picturing also the jacket in Kicking and Screaming. Remember Eye of the Tiger when he was playing Eye of the Tiger at the
Yes,
end?
yeah. That was
That was
pretty
an
cool.
amazing jacket, yeah.
At least I'm not a liar. You just lied. When? Just now. Okay, you got me on that one. Go take a lap. Tuck in your shirt.
in
Have
your
some
shirt.
pride.
Go me a juice box.
Yeah. Everybody wave bye to Juice Box.
Mm-hmm.
Whip says, thank God my Google Pay messed up my membership because he's further away from 5 years now.
That's right,
Oh,
Whip.
man.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh, Brett wants to know, would ember tetras be too finippy for fancy guppies?
Would Ember Tetras be too finippy for fancy
They
guppies?
might. Remember, they were going kind of little bit after the bettas, so you have to make sure they're
But-
well fed.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's what I would do, is make sure that your fish are well fed, and then especially your ember tetras, and they're going to be less likely to fin nip your fancy guppies. It's something I might try, and then if it's not working, you have to get rid of the embers. All right, let me see here. Hold on, I'm like way up in the chat. I must not move through this thing nearly as fast. Garage Gills. Did it rain? It sure did today. It rained a little bit.
It did, just
Just like a little thunderstorm, or as Luke used to call it when he was a tundo storm. Yep.
good times.
Yeah, it was. Oh, wait, oh my gosh, I was still pre-numbers. That's my problem. Holy cow.
Wow, come on now.
I was pre. I'm gonna have to sneeze. Hold on.
Bless you.
Pardon me. Sorry. That came on fast. I mean, wow, the chat is so fast. Yes, it moves fast when those numbers start flying around. Hold on. Well, what did it just do here? Now it's jumping back up all by itself.
Oh, Roan wants to know, can we get an update on Poppy P? You inspired me to get my own Boris from your small scape
What
video.
are we even talking about?
Peanut and Poppy P. The pea puffers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The pea puffies. They are doing great. And you want to know something really funny, because I feed
Wait,
them
where are your pea puffers?
with my chilies.
Oh, they're still up there. With the
Yeah.
chilies?
Yeah.
And didn't you just throw something else up there too? I noticed.
There's like 4 other little nano guys. The
Exclamation point.
thank you. Yeah, so they're just
Okay.
a few more tinies in there. And what was I gonna say? Oh, so I feed them baby brine, and I also just do throw in some flake food sometimes too, especially for the shrimp guys in there. And I caught Poppy, yes, Poppy, eating a flake.
And didn't spit it out?
No, first she looked at it and she was like, "Oh, I'll have this," and then she was like, "Oh, no, I'll spit it." And she's like, "No, it wasn't that bad." She ate it, and she looked for another one,
Wow.
and she looked for another one. I was like, "Look at you go, girl! Good job."
Sarah says, if I had 5 male swordtails in a 40-gallon tank with a mix of female and male, other species of fish, is there going to be high aggression in the tank overall? So 5 males with a mix of female and male of other species. Maybe. Yeah, that's a possibility. You could potentially have some. That's a lot of males in a 40-gallon. So you might just want to keep an eye on it. If your swordtails start chasing each other around, just kind of remove as many as you need to until you get peace and harmony. So if they're younger, that might take a little while, and it might be okay, right? If you got a really heavily planted tank with a lot of rocks, a lot of wood, that kind of thing, it might be okay. However, you will just want to keep an eye on it.
Chris Adams, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm going to miss riding a bike. I broke my leg and can't put any weight on it yet. You really don't know what you can't do until you really can't walk. Oh,
Sorry to hear that, man. Hang in there.
Sorry, yeah.
Heal up, right?
Yeah, take it easy. I know.
Budget Bonsai says Chipper Jones, Greg Maddox, Hank Aaron, David Justice, and Sid Bream. Those are your jerseys? If that's your
Maddox.
jerseys, that's...
Well played.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, my jersey
I got
collection is...
Dawson.
You have a Dawson?
Yeah.
Did I get you a Dawson?
Yeah, and I got a Vaughn.
You got Ricky Vaughn, Cleveland Indians from the movie.
That's right.
And then you also have a Brewers, the blue Brewers one. And then I've got a Brewers. I've got a baby blue Robin Yount. I have a bunch, man. I have Sandberg, I have Dawson, and I have Sandberg in away, home, and the blue alternate. So I have to pick when I do the Cubs. And then I've got a Dawson, and I don't remember which color. It might be the home. Sox jerseys, I got a bunch. I've got Louis Aparicio. I've got a Mickey Mantle. I've got Derek Jeter. I've got Don Mattingly. Yeah, I've got a lot of jerseys.
In a tote.
In a tote in the garage. And then every time we go to a game, I have to look through that tote to figure out, all right, do I have a jersey for that team?
Auntie K, are there any bucket list fish you had that you now would not recommend?
Oh, that's a
That's
great
fun
question. Bucket list fish that I had that I would not recommend. Well, unless you've got the right setup, the species 44 from Lake Victoria, Lake Victoria and cichlid, they're pretty aggressive, and so that can be a little bit of a handful for some people. What else? Bucket list fish that I wanted that I would no longer keep. I don't think so, because most of the fish that I've gotten, I always knew what I was getting into, so I expected, okay, if this one's going to be aggressive, you know, what we have to do with it. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's like, oh, never again.
I have a couple. I wouldn't say that I would not. I would, never, but they're harder to recommend. The betta is not as easy to recommend as it used to because it's just so sad. They have frequently shorter lives. You have to get them from a reputable breeder. And then I do heavily qualify fish, especially like the pea puffer. They're not for people who don't want to put up with picky eaters. Or if you only have one tank and you want to keep them with other fish. It is more challenging to keep them with other fish, even little chili rasboras, because the other fish eat so much faster that you're spending more time at the tank making sure, did they eat? Are they okay? Do I need to give them something else? Do I need to feed them at a different time? So there's things like that.
Yeah, I would say that that's actually a really good point. Is I would probably not get any. I don't know if I would get any more fish that require live food, even if it's live baby brine. Even though we hatch it out, like the scarlet baddis, the pygmy sunfish, your pea puffers, which have been a real pain in the you know what. I'm kind of not wanting the headache anymore of having to, oh my gosh, do I have the fish? Or do I have the food to feed the fish? Sort of thing.
Yeah. Can be stressful, especially if you plan on being away at any point and you have people watching your fish. There's also, depending on how long you leave for, if you leave for a couple days here and there, generally speaking, with a lot of fish, they can go that long because, it's kind of like out in the wild. There are other fish that cannot go certain periods of time. So you need to really be honest with yourself and how long do you have somebody that can come and feed your fish that you trust? Or if you don't want to deal with that, how long can they go without eating, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Oh, Jarrett, that's a fun question. Best fish for a nano
Just
fish,
saw that.
75 gallon.
Well, there's a whole bunch of best fish for if you're doing a nano 75
if you're
gallon.
doing tons of them.
Yeah. So I might go with the huge school of chilies.
Sure.
And then contrast that with probably the Galaxy Rasbora.
Okay.
Right, so now you've got chilies, which are that red. They got that little bit of purple. The Galaxy Rasbora has the blue. What else could you do on that?
Well, I like, one of my first thoughts would be the Ember, because they've got that really bright orange.
Yeah.
That would look really nice.
Green Kubatai, some people have really good luck with them, some don't. But the green Kubatai is an option. I mean, they really do have a fluorescent-y green.
I wouldn't in a 75 because generally speaking, in that big of a tank, you're going with your basic bright green plants, and you won't be able to see them.
I disagree. You had we always had planted tanks with the green Kubatai, and I was able to see them just fine.
No, you really can't. They don't contrast enough.
They contrast.
Agree to
Go ahead, tear it up. They'll be fine.
No.
But what I would do is with that mix would be the yellow honey gourami.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Probably a dozen of those. That would be really cool.
That would be amazing.
And then some type of a Cory cat on the bottom, like a Dolphi Cories. And then the L11A. The L11A pleco would be really cool because you get that nice orange, and it's an unusual shape, and they won't mess with the other fish.
All right. Any other suggestions? I know you guys have some.
Yeah, bring it.
Bring the nano. And, of course, neons, green neons, would they look amazing in a 75? Dare I say yes?
Sure. Yep.
But I know we're going to get neon blue rasbora. Yes. That would be beautiful. Garage
Girl says, did it rain question regarding your Fritz tour? Oh, yeah. If you watched the beginning of the live stream last week, I won't repeat the whole story for everybody who was here last week, but the first 30 to 40 minutes of the live stream last week was me explaining that trip on
was
a
awful.
motorcycle.
Yeah.
And definitely worth watching that first 30 minutes. Ooh, Vito says, just got a small school of black phantom tetras after watching your species profile
Those
to
are
go with
cool.
a 20 cardinals and a pair of Episto agazii and 6 cories and a 40 gallon. That is a very interesting and colorful mix of fish you got there. Nice.
Yellow Marker wants to know, can neon blue raspberry be kept with snakeskin barbs?
Wait, neon blue raspberry? Yeah, probably.
They're not too small?
Yeah, they'd probably have to be pretty close to full grown. So I'm thinking, okay, snakeskin barbs, if you bought them both at the typical store size, snakeskin barbs are pretty small. They're usually going to be an inch, inch and a quarter when you buy them at the store. And your electric, the blue rasbora, the neon blue rasbora is going to be at least 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
But they both don't grow very fast. And so when you wind up with the full grown fish,
I guess. Yeah.
your snakeskins aren't even going to, I mean, maybe they'll be 2 inches. And your rasbora is still probably going to be close to an inch. So I don't think they would consume said neon blue rasboras. But that was one of those fish that we brought in a couple times, and both times they came in looking great. And then they slowly faded away on us.
Oh. So wait, you have, do you seriously have 25 pea puffers? Oh my gosh, can you imagine a tank filled with pea puffers, all those googly eyes looking
Yeah.
at you?
Jared said, apparently
Adorable.
my chat was funky, but I chatted with you in the killie room, the killie fish room at the convention. Can you spill the full tea on the water issue that destroyed half the killies? So at the ACA, yeah, the hotel had RO water, and nobody knew that. And so they filled all the tanks up, apparently with the RO water from the hotel, and then had to change it out the next day because they realized, holy cow, this doesn't have a whole lot of anything in it. And so they did. And, but yeah, that was kind of a problem. All right, let's see here. Jose says, it's so hard to find old-fashioned regular swordtails, at least online. I want them bright red, but don't want lyre tail or high fin. Yeah, that is all the rage right now. They look fantastic. I love like those high fin, those really, really deep, dark orange swords. But to find just standard swordtails now is, yeah, you're right. It's a little bit more difficult to do.
D-Rock, what would you stock in a 3-gallon bookshelf? Fascinating question. Really?
So hold on, before you get into, you can talk about the stocking.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, a 3-gallon bookshelf tank is actually a very long tank. And so you're looking at a tank that is longer than a 10-gallon. I want to say probably, is it 2 feet? Yeah, it's as long as a standard 20, almost. So somewhere between 20
3-gallon?
and 24 inches.
I should
Maybe
know
it's
this.
20.
No, I think it's about 20.
All right, so it's a 20. So it would be, I think a 10-gallon is about that, right? 18
Yeah.
or 20 inches. So it's a little bit longer, I think, than a 10, but obviously really, really short, really narrow. Okay, go ahead with your stocking.
You don't have too many choices. I prefer shrimp and the Heterandia formosa. Those are my 2 top picks. Now, could you put a little school of like the little chilies?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, it's a
Yeah,
long tank.
right. I was like mentally trying to calculate how many I would put in because I'm picturing my group of chilies that I have in my 8.5, which is only so wide, and then moving them to a 3-gallon, which is, you know, like you said, like 20 inches long. So they're getting, and a lot of these little small reservoirs, they're not super active. They're not zooming around the tank, you know, doing laps. They're just kind of poking around, and they would just get a different kind of space. So would I consider putting like a group of, say, 6 to 8
Oh, sure.
chilies in a 3-gallon? Yeah. Yes, I would.
Nice. This is a question for you. Nan says, hey, Joanna, have you made a
Nan.
video of your favorite nano algae eaters yet?
You know what? I actually have to look because a couple weeks ago I was talking about that and I was considering doing that video because I had it on the brain. I have to think if I have. It seems familiar, but at some points it may have just been part of another video or it just was an idea that I think I did.
you did.
You think I did?
So the easiest way to check that, if you were interested,
Wait, look.
people,
Oh, my phone's dead.
is
Oh,
you just
it
go
was
on to
sleepies.
YouTube and then type in algae eaters and then the small scape, and usually YouTube is smart enough to say, oh, you're interested in the small scape YouTube channel, and here's all the videos that have to do with algae eaters. I'm fairly confident you did, I think. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, Matt, nice suggestion. Rice fish. I tend to forget about them, even though we've had the Madakas, the orange, the Javas. That's a great fish. That's one I think is actually gaining quite a bit in popularity too, the rice fish, because they are ultra peaceful. They're active. They're so cool because the females, the eggs attach to their anal fin, and then they eventually drop off when they hatch. And you get these little baby rice fish, and they're super cute. They don't need a large tank. You could easily go with a 10-gallon and keep a group there. So if you're kind of somebody who's like, you know what, I've done the guppies, I've done the endlers, I want to do something different, rice fish are fascinating. And a lot of them are really nice for like the outdoor tubbing sort of stuff. Yeah, really cool. All right, let me see here. Let me scroll on down. I am like, so, there we go. I finally found. Okay. I think we got time for one or two more, and then we're going to probably. Scotty Nolan, I'm so glad you're here, by the way. Substrate color, tank size, and tank mates for 8 banded false barbs. That's a great question. I would say, I don't know. Let's go. At least a 29-gallon. Substrate color, probably darker. I'd go on the darker side. Tank mates, 8 banded false barbs. I don't think they're super crazy aggressive like some of the other ones are. I mean, you could do other barbs.
Melon barbs?
Melon barbs are cool. Yeah. Cory cats, plecos, dwarf gourami, thick lip gourami would be some, or even if you had a larger tank, you know, if you're looking like a 40 breeder, which might be kind of cool, then you could go with your golds, opalines, blues. That would be a really nice combination. From your tetras, you could do something like black skirts, white skirt tetras. Colombian tetras are kind of, you know, that would be a nice option. Red eyes.
What about something like really bright red? That's what I'm picturing with the banded barb.
Really bright red.
Yeah.
Well, then, I mean, I don't know about really bright red, but you got the serpes, right? Bleeding heart tetra would be another one that would be kind of cool, right?
That would be cool.
All those are possibilities. Bunch of bonsai. Yeah, the 3-gallon bookshelf is an 18-inch long tank. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. I think it is time to call it a night because it's getting to be about that time. And guess what? We're going to be back same time, same place next week. And next week, yes, I will have a topic. I have it in my list of topics, something to talk about for next week. And so, yeah, we'll be back next Thursday. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all of our moderators for hanging out with us and taking care of business, and for the gifted memberships, the new members, and the super chats and everything. Really always appreciated. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.